The church today gives us another portion of Matthew's gospel to reflect on, and the gospel passage taken from Matthew today is concerned with the dynamics of the truly Christian community. It's fairly certain that Matthew's gospel was written for the church in Antioch, where there had been a deep division between the conservative Jewish Christians and the more liberal Gentile converts. Peter is featured in this gospel passage because he was the leader at Antioch, who was able to hold these factions together by insisting on the importance of tolerance and reconciliation. In such a difficult situation, forgiveness becomes a major issue. Jesus tells Peter that we must be ready to forgive others 70 times 7 times. Whoa, that means endlessly. And as the parable illustrates, that forgiveness doesn't simply come from the goodness of one's heart. It's possible only when we realize that we have already been forgiven. It's a gift that has been first received, and then it's passed on to others. The unforgiving servant of the gospel story is condemned precisely because he refused to forgive a tiny debt after he had already been forgiven a large one. Now, the Bible is very realistic about human nature. It's a source of hope for us. Every child is born yearning for approval and desperate for affirmation. The child lifts his arms, "Mommy, Mommy, Daddy," and wants to be lifted up. It is a tragedy when love and affirmation is not available. It is only affectionate touches and gentle words that enable an infant to reach out to the world in confidence and trust, thus building hope. Such loving affirmation continues to be needed all throughout life. And the person who, through a misguided notion of, "I can do this on my own," is condemned to a twilight existence of feigned independence. An important part of this loving affirmation is the readiness to forgive the mistakes and the faults of others. We can only do that realizing I've already been forgiven by God and others. Forgiveness is not limited to sinful behavior either, but it extends to limitations of all kinds, and that includes forgiveness for not being perfect. It's important, though, to remember what forgiveness is not. It does not imply that a fault or sin does not matter, nor does it mean that the offense is forgotten, for that's impossible. Friends, a real Christian community without such an exchange of love between people cannot exist. There can be no real Christian community without forgiveness. There can be no real Christian community without hope. And the challenge for us right now in this crazy time of wearing masks and social distancing is to be compassionate with one another, forgiving as we have been forgiven, being lenient instead of self-righteous and hard-hearted. For that is God's way with us, a leniency of compassion, love, and forgiveness. God bless you in this moment of hope for the world and our church.